WWE Night of Champions just passed. And man, it was a crazy PLE. This time they were in Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. And man, there was special surprises, there was crazy matches. And who won King and Queen of the Ring? We're going to talk about it. So you've landed on the Collard Greens and Nerdy Things page. I'm your host, King, and this is my co-host, JC3. And today we talking about WWE again. So let's just start off with match by match. And we're going to start off a little out of order, but in order of fun, I would say. So let's jump in with Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn.
Man, with the Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross match, this was a match that was just automatically put on the card because Dominic Mysterio injured himself. He was supposed to defend his Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles. So instead, we got this match, which I'm glad Karrion got that moment. I'm glad he got that opportunity to try to showcase his skills after all the talk that he's been doing on the internet. That infamous at this, I feel like it's infamous at this point. The interview that he had at the post show at WrestleMania, where he pretty much just went off and cussed out, the big guy in the company. So I'm glad that he was able to get this spot. I am also a fan of Sami Zayn. I actually met him a few years ago. He's a really good guy.
That's tight.
Overall, thank you. Overall, I think the match was decent. My only issue with it is the fact that Karrion didn't win. I like Sami, but I feel like Karrion needed this win to continue whatever push they're trying to give him. To me, if you're building up a superstar and you want him to get more noticed, which I think they're trying to get him more noticed, it takes more than your gimmick at the end of the day for me. Like, at the end of the day, you still need to be winning some matches. If you're doing all this and you're not winning, then what's the point? How are you going to get further? Last night's Monday Night Raw showed us that the rivalry isn't completely over, which is cool. But that would be my only complaint, is that he didn't win, because I like his character. What you think?
So I've got a couple opinions. One, I love Sami Zayn. I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan. I wish I would have got to meet him, and I love his Palestine pants. I love that the Middle East loves him, and he gets such a roar when he comes out anywhere in the Middle East. Um, for me, I'm a little opposite than you, because I was looking at that fight in my head, I was like, there's no way Karrion Kross should win this match. You know what I mean? In my head, that's the kind of way it went. So when he hit him with the haluva kick, man, and I knew I'm really hoping that they could give Sami Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb a little more love, because it's never
Yeah.
the finisher that it is, but it looks better than the haluva kick. But I kind of ranked this one on my lowest match. It wasn't crazy for me. I'm not a super Karrion Kross fan. I will say, though, his promos have been getting really good. His promos have been really good, and some of the stuff they're doing with his entrance is pretty good. So I don't hate him, but I'm not a huge fan of him. So that's kind of my opinion on the whole Karrion Kross Sami Zayn fight. But let's move on to another fight. And the next one is Raquel Rodriguez and Mommy Rhea Ripley.
Ooh. We all like Rhea Ripley. And actually, you know what? Raquel Rodriguez, she's nice too. I thought the match was above average. I thought it was a very physical bout. These two have great chemistry together in the ring. They had a last woman standing match on NXT a few years ago that people still talk about to this day. So I figured they would have a pretty good match, and we got some good spots. Rhea got hit with some kendo sticks a few times, and then she proceeded to whoop Raquel's ass with that studded belt. Oh man, I know that hurt. The right person went over in this. We knew that Rhea was going to win. I do like that Roxanne Perez did try to interfere, because she is now an official member of the Judgment Day, so it was cool to give her a bit of that spotlight. The finish, definitely okay with. I do hope that this is the end of Rhea Ripley being involved in like anything Judgment Day. I feel like she had a pretty good rivalry with them when they had betrayed her and Priest last year. And I feel like we kind of moved on from that. We obviously know why we kind of got this match because Liv is injured and Raquel, had to do something. So really good match, but I hope that we're done with that storyline and we can move on to bigger and better things, which we are, because now Mommy is going to be fighting Io for the women's world championship at the Evolution PLE. I'm very excited about that. What you think, though, Mike?
So, I'm a huge Raquel fan, of course. I love to see her. I'm not sure about I like her style at the moment. I think she's a little more vicious before she left. But I'm happy to see her back. And I knew that I had a feeling Roxanne was going to come out. Like you said, Liv Morgan got hurt. So I assumed with Roxanne in the background, they were going to kind of push her into that spot as her tag team replacement. So I wasn't too shocked to see her come out. I thought it was fun. I'm a huge Roxanne Perez fan, so I was happy to see Roxanne. I love the little tiny ones. So I was happy to see her come out and have a little bit of moment. But I hate to say this, but mommy's always on top, man. And I don't often say that. That's what I mean. I love Rhea Ripley. Love her. I'm in love with her. I love Rhea Ripley. So I'm happy to see that she won and that she probably is going to move into a different program with the EO Sky. That seems a little more fun because they have that like good friendship thing going on, but they have the respect for each other. But that can like jump into some good rivalries. So I'm happy to see that she's leaving the Judgment Day behind as well and kind of moving it forward. I thought it was a good match. I definitely thought, it was a serviceable match, nothing crazy. The first bit of shenanigans. But, speaking of shenanigans and pretty big shenanigans, let's jump into the next fight. And that was Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa for the US Championship. And what a match that was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. That was it was a pretty good match. I would say both. I like both the characters. I love Solo. I love Jacob Fatu. I love how much Solo has grown. I think I've even discussed this previously on another episode on our channel. But he's grown in a big way, and I love that he's getting to just show more of his personality in this new role he's in. And Fatu, what more can you say about him? I mean, you were waiting for him to show up before I even really was looking into it. So Fatu is already over. He's already that dude. With that being said, the match was okay to me. I didn't. It was kind of slow. I don't know if they had like the best chemistry. Watching them fight, there was some physicality, but it was just a little slow for me. But I feel like the shenanigans in the match definitely helped it, saved it with the return of
Tala
Tama
Tala
Tama Tonga.
Tonga. Tala
Tama
Tonga.
Tonga.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga. Gotcha. Listen, trying to keep up with this Samoan bloodline, it's hard, guys. There's a lot of them, so we're trying to figure out names. Um, yeah, his return, seeing him again. We didn't see our boy, yeah, but hopefully one day. And also we had the debut of Hikuliu, that his name.
Oh,
Uh,
that's who
who
I was mentioning. It was Tala Tonga. My bad. My bad. Tonga Loa came
see,
back.
see, it's hard, guys. Like we're getting there. But yes, we had his debut, which I did enjoy. I feel like he can be a very big threat to Jacob Fatu. And with Solo being the new United States champion, and the way that he put him down too was very dominant. So I'm happy for Solo with that. It also begs the question now too. Now that I think about it, that Jake and the commentators pointed out that Jacob's now all alone with this new group that Solo has. So that might possibly mean that he may need help, and maybe that help comes in the form of the OTC. Fingers crossed. We'll see. What you think, Mike?
Well, I was waiting for this fight, man. I love anything with the bloodline. I love the Samoan dynasty. I'm a huge Jacob Fatu fan. So, of course, I was going for Jacob. I was a little surprised that Solo won. I understood it because Solo's never had a big main roster championship yet. So, this was his moment. he's always been seen as the enforcer, but never held the title.
Right.
So I was happy to see, that he won. If he was going to beat somebody, his actual blood cousin, excuse me, would be a great option. So I was super excited. I was happy to see the return of Tongaloa. The Now the trio is complete. Tongaloa, and then we have Tamatonga, who we didn't get to see, and that's who I was hoping come back. And now the youngest brother, Tamatonga's little brother, um, Haikuleo is what he was going by, but now he will be known as Talatonga. And I'm happy to see the Tongan boys are there, and he's a big dude. He's going to be um, really good for the big fights like the Damian Priestes and the dudes of that stature. You know what I mean? They're going to put up some good fights. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what they do with him. But yeah, you're right. Jacob's by himself now. He could either go over to the OG bloodline, or they could use this for a moment to bring in some of the other bloodline members who are kind of on their way. Like, I can't say it enough, but Zilla Fatu, is in the waiting, and so is Lance Anawahi. He's in the waiting. So we've got a few more bloodline members that are coming, and I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with this storyline going forward. And we haven't seen Roman in a while, so I'm interested to see, how will Roman play into this bigger story that they're telling. So, I was happy about that one. That was the one that I enjoyed. It was a slower match, but I really enjoyed kind of the back and forth, because we've always wanted to see enforcer versus enforcer. You know what I mean? So I thought that was
Yeah.
really dope. But let's roll on in to one of the first of the three biggest fights of the night, and that is going to be the women's Queen of the Ring. And the two finalists were Jade Cargill and Asuka. And man, Jade Cargill, crazy work, man. What do you think?
Uh, I would definitely say that Jade Cargill's attire for this match was probably the best that she's had thus far. We got the classic Storm look from like the 90s TV show. She looked amazing. She looked perfect. The entrance was so good. I hope that she just keeps that up because that's awesome. Asuka, also a legend in her own right. A multiple time champion. I love her entrance as well, and just the face paint that that she has is always popping. It's always nice. So I was very excited for this match. I figured that Jade was going to win, which she did. It makes sense with the story that we got going here. The only thing I'll say though is I do hope that her um, the chemistry with her in ring does get a little bit better. It did seem like she was trying to keep up with Asuka more in this match, and I mean that makes sense because Asuka's been in this game like way longer than her. But I think we saw now that the training wheels are off Jade. With her not being tagged with Bianca anymore and her doing her own thing, we're still in a way seeing some things that she needs to improve on when it comes to her being in a match. So she did have a decent performance. Again, I'm glad that she won. I can't wait to see her challenge Tiffany Stratton for the women's WWE Championship. Let's just keep moving up. I did appreciate her speech at the end, even though the crowd wasn't having it. Which, by the way, the Saudi crowd, this whole PLE was they were electric. Like they let you know whether they liked you, and they let you know when they didn't like you. So I really appreciated that. It really brought the pay-per-view, the PLE, sorry, more to life for me. Happy with the results. Just need a little bit more work. What you think?
So, piggybacking off of what you said, man, we are a nerd channel. So, I mean, it would be remiss of us to not mention, the clear X-Men reference that Jade Cargill was making with the storm. Of course, that's kind of already been, part of her theme with the music, the lightning, the actual snow. But I mean, it came full circle. I mean, she was really having a moment. This PLE, and rightfully so. She was going to win Queen of the Ring. She's now the first Black female to win Queen of the Ring, which is incredible. And I applaud her in that. Saudi wasn't too happy about it for sure. They definitely booed her a bit, but I really am excited to see what they do with this, and to do what what they're going to do with her run. Excuse me. I did in initially think Oscar was going to win because her and Io had a segment that seemed like they were setting up Oscar versus Io for the eventual title match, which could still happen. But I'm glad that Jade won. Her in ring work is getting better. It can still use more polishing, but it's getting a lot better. Everyone was really excited for the return of Asuka, and I mean, I thought it was a real exciting match. Um, One thing I'm going to add is this is what I think is going to happen, and I just want to add this in here before we move on to the next match. I think that Jade Cargill will go choose Tiffany, obviously, and they'll have their match. But I bet you she wins, and I bet you Naomi cashes in. And I
Yeah,
bet you
that's
Naomi runs away with the title.
that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because she needs to proceed with caution. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's
Ex
fine. It's okay. It's a good story. So
It's a good story, and it gives them both something to do. It lets Jade Cargill, who's newer, hold something for a little bit and get that kind of notch on the belt of like, I've done this and reached this top. But it also gives Naomi, who's been working at this for a lot longer, her real due respect for her cash in. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. But for the second time, let's move on to the men's King of the Ring, Cody Rhodes and the Viper Randy Orton. And man,
well, in my opinion, this was the best match on the card with that did not include shenanigans. We had a clear winner in this. Love both of these superstars. I love the journey that Cody's been on. Randy went from a legend killer, now he's a bona fide legend. The history between these two is very deep, running all the way back to Legacy, I believe in '09, '08 or '09 is when that group got started, when Randy brought Cody in and was trying to show him the ropes. So to see them facing off right now, kind of the teacher against the pupil, it's a very good storytelling that WWE is always great at. We had some cutters, we had some Viper DDTs, we almost got a punt to the head, but our Viper has some second thoughts, which I think he is going to regret. He regrets that, now from what we saw after the match. But Cody ended up being the victor because Randy hesitated. And not only did Randy hesitate, he also tried to cheat. He unloosened the turnbuckle belt to expose expose the turnbuckle, and that ended up backfiring on him and allowing Cody to get the crossroads in the 1, 2, 3. With that being said, I feel like this also was the start of a deeper rivalry that's gonna happen between Orton and Rhodes, just because while Rhodes was giving the speech to the fans and also giving Randy Orton his props, we saw the look on the Viper's face, and the Viper was not happy. He looked actually very, very upset, and we know that he is willing to do any and everything to get to his 15th world title. So I think that after Cody has his rematch with Cena for the belt, that Randy might, finally decide to show his true colors and turn on him. And maybe just then that's when we see the punt for the first time in months. And, we get a deeper story with that. But I thought that this was a very, very good match. What did you think?
yeah, man, I thought it was a really good match. I think both of us are big fans of both of them. I'm a huge Cody. He's probably my number one at the moment, besides like a Jey Uso. So I was happy to see it. I was happy Cody won, adding another kudos to his resume, being crown champion and king of the ring and Royal Rumble winner, and all the things. I thought that was really cool. They did have some good spots that they set up, you know what I mean? Some really cool RKOs, some Cody cutters. They really definitely went back and forth for a minute, and it was kind of hard to tell like who was really going to be the victor. But you knew once Randy kind of went to his batter angels that something was going to happen, something was going to be amiss. When he went for that chair and distracted the ref and then did the turnbuckle, you knew the tide was going to turn. So I thought it was a good one, and I thought it was a good way to set it up, and eventually get Cody to go more heel. So that's been a rumor that they're trying to get him to go more heel. So we'll see what they do with it. I thought it was good. I thought, excuse me, I thought it pushed the story forward, and I'm excited to see what's next. But let's not waste any time and let's jump to the match that I know you want to talk about more than any other. The main event in this PLE, Night of Champions, was CM Punk versus you can't
The
see
greatest of all
him,
time.
the greatest of all
Yeah.
time, the
Yeah, there
the
you go.
the
Never seen something.
17 time champion
There
John
you go.
Cena.
There you go.
And
There you
and
go.
of course
Last
I'll
real.
let you talk about it.
There you go. Appreciate that. You gotta get it right. Thank you. But yes, this was the match that I was heavily anticipating. These two have such a rich history, dating all the way back to 2011, when Punk was initially going to leave the company. To see these guys run it back after all these years, it was a complete dream come true to me. Mainly just because this is Cena's last year wrestling, and there was a time when we never thought that Punk was going to return to wrestling, let alone the WWE. So being able to have this match for one last time, it was beautiful to me. I love it. I love this stuff. So we had an iconic entrance from CM Punk wearing the same gear that he won at Money in the Bank 2011, where he also fought John Cena for the WWE Championship. And of course, we had the Never Seen 17 coming out in his typical heel fashion, acting like he doesn't care about anything, wants to ruin wrestling, all that. We had some very good spots in this match. We had multiple double A's with that Punk continued to kick out of, which was just the seeing stuff like that. It tricks you in the mind, like you feel like you know what's going to happen, but then there's certain things that happen in the match, and you're like, wait a minute, like could he do it? Like, could he win? And I had that feeling for a second, thinking that maybe, just maybe, Punk might win. We did have a moment in the match where Cena was contemplating doing his typical thing of getting the belt and hitting you over the head with it. But for the first time, we actually saw him hesitate, and he decided to not do that, which I think plants the seeds for him to eventually go back to being a good guy, which I cannot wait for. I'm tired of this heel Cena. But love seeing that. At the same time, though, uh, refs really need to stop. Just getting knocked out, and then all these other shenanigans happen, and it's like, where is everybody? Nobody's there. But very good match, multiple double A's, like I said, a GTS included for Cena, which almost won Punk the match. But then again, we have the shenanigan where the referee's knocked out, and we need another referee. And instead of getting a referee, we get your favorite, person, one of your favorite people, good old Seth Rollins coming in trying to cash in his Money in the Bank. And luckily, he failed. I love that. Like when Cena realized what he was doing, he was like, "Wait a minute, you gonna cash in on me? Nah, 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 nah. Double A, get out of here." Love that whole part of the match. Um, what I had an issue with was the handshake between Punk and Cena. I'm not gonna lie. I thought maybe Cena was off of his BS, and we actually, we actually get the good guy back, like, because he shook his hand, they give a hug and everything, beautiful moment, and then we get that Cena look, the same look that he gave The Rock at the Elimination Chamber before he kicked who he kick in the nuts
Cody.
there. I think it was Cody. Yes, we get that same look, but instead of giving it to The Rock, he gives it directly to us as the fans. And we know that BS is about to go down. But he tries to hit Punk in the nuts, but Punk catches it. He's like, nah, you ain't gonna do that to me. Tries to hit him with the TS, but before he can even do that, good old Seth Rollins hits him in the head with the briefcase and then curb stomps him, allowing Cena to get the pin and remain our 17-time world champion. I'm okay with the results. I love the match. Did not really appreciate the ending, and you know why. We also, by the way, we also had some appearances from Seth's group as well as Penta and Sami Zayn. So there was a lot going into this match. Ultimately, I'm satisfied, but I cannot wait for Seth to get a comeuppance. Please tell me what you thought of this.
Well, I think you know that, I'm not the hugest fan of, either person really in this match. I'm gaining a lot more respect for CM Punk than I ever have. I really like that dude. And I'm starting to really like his character and what he's doing. I'm coming around for sure. I like John Cena. I don't like the John Cena heel version. I'm not a fan of this. It just seems for me disingenuous and kind of forced. So I'm not a real big fan of it. The match was real good. Again, it was another match that had its back and forths, right? They were giving each other the double A's and the GTSs, and they were going back and forth. Of course, in this type of match, you got a whole lot of shenanigans. I mean, the shenanigans was crazy. And you mentioned it, Penta, who spent his time getting down to the ring as John Cena was getting pummeled, which was hilarious. Um, Sami Zayn coming out, Seth's crew, whatever their name's gonna be, some really cool spots. I love me some Seth Rollins, but this is the one time I was mad at Seth Rollins because I wanted to see CM Punk win. I wanted to see CM Punk get the title, dude. I wanted to see CM Punk get the dub. I wanted him to win. So I was upset with Seth in this moment. I love Seth, and I love that he brings nothing but the drama, and I love that he's so zesty. I love all of that. Uh, but I think their feud is good for television between them two, meaning CM Punk and Seth, and I think it's very entertaining. Seth is definitely playing the role that Triple H used to in my life, where I'm just now screaming at the TV. You know what I mean? Like, damn you, Seth, and why did you do that? And those kind of things. I thought it was a great match. I too, was content with the ending of it. I would have rather CM Punk win, but I get the story. I get what they're building to. I get what they're doing. And we got to have a little more time on that. We've got SummerSlam coming up, which is going to be a 2-day event. So there's going to be bigger things happening. And I think there's a bigger story to tell. So I'm happy, man. I think all in all, I really enjoyed this PLE. I thought it was definitely one of the funner ones. I'm excited for Evolution, and of course for us to cover the Evolution. And of course, guys, please go like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you thought. Get involved in this conversation. Who were the people you would have chose to win any of those matches, or who would you replace them with? How did you think it went down, and what are you most excited for? So I'm King, that's JC3, and I'm gonna let him take us on out. And you know how to do this, my boy.
Rollins, or if I'm going to use your real name, Tyler Black. If you end up seeing this by some, miracle, I hope you know. I hope, I honestly hope that you cash in your money in the bank, and I hope you win. I hope you win whatever title that you go for, because if that means if you win, Punk is going to take it from you, and I cannot wait until he does. You stupid hater. In kayfabe, of course. But here, collard greens and nerdy things. Thank you all for the support. Y'all stay nerdy.